It's probably the most recognized brand on the entire planet. But its story, well, it's not all sweet success. It's actually a wild tale of addiction, a billion-dollar mistake, and a secret formula that nearly tore the company apart. Today, we're uncapping the real story of Coca-Cola.
So how on earth did this happen? The answer isn't in some slick marketing plan or a fancy boardroom. The truth is, Coca-Cola was born out of pure, raw desperation. You see, the story of the world's most popular soda doesn't start with refreshment. It starts with pain. And it starts with a man named John Pemberton, a Civil War veteran and a pharmacist who was haunted by a crippling morphine addiction. Now, you have to understand, Pemberton wasn't trying to invent the next great soft drink, not at all. He was desperately trying to invent a substitute for the morphine he depended on. His first shot at it was a nerve tonic called Pemberton's French Wine Coca. This timeline really shows you how fast things were first to change. In 1886, just 1 year after he created it, Prohibition hits Atlanta. So Pemberton has to scramble. He takes out the wine and, get this, rebrands his concoction as a temperance drink. But as you can see right there, that wasn't the only controversial ingredient he was working with. That's right, you heard that correctly. The cocoa in Coca-Cola came from the coca leaf, and each glass had a dose of actual cocaine in it. It was sold as a patent medicine, a miracle tonic that could supposedly cure headaches, indigestion, nerve disorders, even impotence. This wasn't a soda, it was a supposed cure-all with a serious kick. Okay, so after Pemberton's death, the formula falls into the hands of a businessman named Asa Candler, an absolute marketing genius. But ironically, the single biggest move that would build the Coca-Cola empire was born from his single biggest mistake. Asa Candler saw potential way beyond the pharmacy. He snapped up the rights and by 1892 had incorporated the Coca-Cola Company. He was a master promoter, but he totally underestimated where the future of the business was actually heading. In 1899, this is what it cost two businessmen, Benjamin Thomas and Joseph Whitehead, to get the exclusive rights to bottle Coca-Cola across most of the United States. $1 single. See, Candler was obsessed with soda fountains. He was absolutely convinced the real money was in selling syrup to drugstores, not the drinks themselves. He just dismissed bottling as some kind of passing fad. And in what has to be one of the worst business deals in history, he signed away a future multi-billion-dollar empire for less than the cost of a new hat. But here's the twist. Candler's massive blunder unintentionally created the very franchise model that made Coke a phenomenon. Independent bottlers just started popping up all over the country, putting a bottle of Coca-Cola within arm's reach of pretty much every American. All right, so with the drink spreading like wildfire, the company runs into a new problem, an army of copycats. They needed a weapon in the cola wars, a package that was just completely unique. Their solution? To create a bottle that no one could ever mistake. And check out how ambitious their design brief was. They said, create a bottle so unique you could recognize it by feel in the dark, or even identify it from its broken pieces on the ground. I mean, talk about setting the bar high. And here is one of the greatest ironies in design history. The team couldn't find a picture of a cocoa leaf or a cola nut, so they looked up cocoa in the encyclopedia by mistake. They based the iconic shape on the cocoa pod, an ingredient that has never, ever been in Coca-Cola. A total happy accident. So that first prototype perfectly captured the cocoa pod shape, but it had a fatal flaw. It was too wide in the middle and kept wobbling and falling over on the conveyor belts. So the designer, Earl R. Dean, had to slim it down, and in doing so, he perfected the iconic contour bottle that would become a global symbol. But even the most successful brands can make truly epic mistakes. By 1985, Coca-Cola wasn't just a drink, it was an American institution. And then, they decided to change the one thing that seemed completely untouchable, the secret formula itself. This timeline just shows you how fast the whole disaster unfolded. In just 79 days, the company went from a confident product launch to facing a full-blown nationwide revolt. It forced them into this humiliating public retreat. It was a mess. Now this is the crucial lesson here. The company had the data. In blind taste tests, people actually preferred the new flavor. But what they completely missed was that Coca-Cola wasn't just a beverage anymore. It was a cultural touchstone, a piece of people's identity. The backlash was never about taste, it was about the company changing a memory. It felt like a betrayal.
So, bringing back the original formula, rebranded as Coca-Cola Classic, was a massive success. And today, Coke is way more than a drink. It's a global symbol. And being a symbol, well, it also means you're a global target. To really understand the whole story, you have to look at the darker side of its global dominance. Coke has been named the world's #1 plastic polluter again and again. It has also faced incredibly serious allegations, including lawsuits over anti-union violence at its bottling plants in Colombia. Being a global symbol means its footprint is everywhere, and that footprint is very, very heavily contested.
And yet, despite all the controversies, its reach is nearly absolute. Coca-Cola products are officially sold in over 200 countries. That makes it one of the ultimate symbols of globalization. Only 2 countries are officially off the map, Cuba and North Korea. So when you step back and look at the whole picture, the journey from a morphine addict's hopeful cure to a global icon isn't just one story. It's a story of marketing genius, of game-changing mistakes, and it's a story of all the cultural shifts and controversies of the last century. All of it captured in one single bottle. Which really leaves us with one final question. After all the history, the secret formula, and that iconic bottle, what's the most powerful ingredient in Coca-Cola? Is it what's actually inside the can? Or is it the idea of Coca-Cola that has been so carefully built inside all of our minds?